Economic development happens when money comes from outside a region into the region.
It's our job to serve people and to make their lives better.
I spend a lot of time in Garfield County, Enid in particular.
That's probably one of the hardest things, to get the good title.
Everyone deserves help.
And he's been very instrumental in trying to make this deal work out.
We're basically self-insuring 100% of the loss.
Now having a new measurement tool to make certain we're ready.
My old friend.
Some girls have even led adoption drives for local rescue agencies.
I want to try to focus on the things out of life that are positive.
City Connections begins right now.
Hello and welcome to City Connections. I'm Steve Kime. Thank you for joining us today. Our topic today, a very serious topic entitled Active Shooter. And my very special guest from the Enid Police Department is Captain Gary Fuxa. Captain, welcome. Appreciate you coming by the ETN studio and talk about this popular topic. It's almost a topic that you don't want to discuss. It's a topic that it's in the national news, if you will, but it's something that we need to address because I think back to my Boy Scout days, you want to be prepared. I remember the motto, be prepared. Well, first off, Captain, just tell us about your role, how long you've been with the Enid PD, and really about your role at the department.
Okay. I've been with the Enid Police Department for 25 years now, a little over
Wow.
25 years. I'm a captain. I'm in the Special Operations Division. I cover SWAT, K9, Special Street Crimes Unit.
Very good. Well, let's talk active shooter. People hear the term, they see it on national news, and I think it's a phrase that may be used too freely. But how would you define active shooter?
An active shooter, as defined by the FBI, is what we follow, is any event where you have an individual or individuals that are actively engaged in killing people or attempting to kill people in a confined or populated area.
Okay. We were talking in a previous visit about the Enid Police Department's role in education and awareness and things of this nature. And I think you mentioned something to me about church surveys.
Right.
I'm not quite sure. Well, I just need you to elaborate on that because somebody's watching this program and said, oh, I really need to pay attention. He's talking active shooter.
Well, for several years now, we do security surveys, and we do them for schools, businesses, and churches. And here lately, we've been doing quite a few churches. And I think that's just because of the response that is out there from the recent events that occurred in churches. But yeah, what we do, we go to your facility, we'll give you recommendations on how to make your facility more secure, how to make it less of a target. We'll also talk about active shooter protocols, what you can do before the event, during, and then after, and some of the things to consider. We talk about pre-incident indicators, things to look for that people exhibit. And that's, if we can prevent it before it evolves into something dangerous or deadly, that's what we want to do.
Captain, let me ask you this. I know in the church that we attend, there is a security guard and dressed such. Mm-hmm. And are there reports, are there results or statistics that show that a visible officer, if you will, in a church setting, that it's made an impact?
I'm not aware of any studies that they've been looking at for that type of information. I really don't know. Because
to me, when you see that kind of presence, it makes you think maybe second, 3 times, 4 times.
You bet.
So,
anytime you've got a presence, that can be a deterrent.
When you talk about protocol, is that one thing that is, if there is a suggestion or recommendation let's just focus on churches, is there that recommendation for a very visible security person?
Well, again, that all depends on what type of emergency action plan you have. Okay. And that's going to be up to the individual church on whether or not they want somebody that's going to be in uniform. There's some entities out there that allow it, and there's some that don't allow it where they're concealed.
Yeah, and it's to me, in my narrow-mindedness, it's just a sad state that we're having this conversation.
It is.
And that even in churches or even in a grade school environment, that we have to even have this on our to-do list to discuss. You mentioned something about active shooter protocol, and what do you mean by the protocol? Is that safety steps or?
Well, we recommend that everyone have an emergency action plan, and again, that plan is going to be based on your individual facility. Every facility is going to be different. But it's just a plan of action in terms of, making sure you have your escape routes, your room numbers are posted both inside and outside of rooms. That will increase everybody's situational awareness, and that's something we can talk about later.
Well, I understand that. I think the common sense steps kind of jump in at this point. We talk about the protocol maybe for schools and churches and large businesses. If an individual is a viewer that's watching this interview, Captain, and they say, oh, we have a large business and we probably need to reach out to the Enid Police Department. Is there much difference in the protocol from a school, church to a corporate setting?
You're looking at...
Is it the facility that determines
comparing
that?
apples to oranges.
Okay.
And we really don't get into that. I mean, we keep that for the individuals themselves.
Because I would not think there is a one protocol fits all. You have to customize basically to that particular situation. There's a term, run, hide, and fight. And we've touched on this a little bit before. Can you explain where the run, hide, fight came from and why is this theme of these three words?
The Department of Homeland Security several years ago developed a template for citizens' response to an active shooter, and it was run, hide, fight. And that pretty much makes up your thought process during an active shooter event, in no particular order. If you're able to run from the threat, if you can do that and do it safely, if you're able to run, by all means do so. If that's not possible, can you shelter in place? And what I mean by that is the ideal situation would be to get into an area where you could barricade up to prevent the threat from entering where you're at, and have a location that would protect you from gunfire. That's the ideal situation in that, and something like that. If that's not possible, are you willing, are you able to fight for your lives and for the lives of those maybe around you? What the run, hide, fight does, it gives you an opportunity to analyze your situation and develop a plan of action based on the unique set of circumstances you may be in, based on your individual abilities.
I can only imagine in a situation like that how caught off guard you are. Is this really happening? How do I respond? I mean, we're talking just moments, and you could freeze, if you will, and just what is going on.
Right.
And
well, and there's not going to be any perfect plan. I mean, these events are very chaotic, they're unpredictable, and they evolve very quickly. And that's why it's important to have some type of plan.
Okay. Regarding the plan, let's talk a little bit about awareness and education. How can, if a community is watching this interview, and of course it ends up on YouTube, and it could be outside of the Enid area, is there online training? Is there any recommended training? Or if someone says, well, I can't get Captain Fuxa to our community, but they need some type of awareness training, is there any recommendations that you would have?
Well, there's a lot of training out there that's available. Department of Homeland Security sponsors a lot of civilian training that's available online. We do training. We'll come to your facility, as I mentioned before. We've been doing this for several years now. But just being aware of your surroundings is probably one of the biggest things you can do. Just having an idea of what's going on around you. Making a note of where your exits are. If you enter a building, note where the exits are. How close are they? How many of them are there? Are there any items or areas that would protect you from gunfire? I mean, that's just something that will help you make the right decision at the right time.
We had set this interview up earlier with Captain Gary Fuxa of the Enid Police Department, but we had to move this interview to another date because the captain had some training to attend to, which leads into my next question. How do you, your staff, or the Enid Police Department, how do they stay, I guess, informed and up to date on the latest training, protocol, and things of this nature regarding active shooter?
Well, we do active shooter training. We try to do it every year. We'll bring in entities such as the alert system, which was what the state of Oklahoma pretty much uses. We also bring in officers from other states that are nationally known trainers, and we in the summertime, we try to practice in the schools where we do walkthroughs of all the schools so everybody have an idea of different buildings, structures, especially some of the newer buildings that are getting built, the add-ons. It helps us in terms of clearing buildings and making them safe should an event ever occur there.
Captain, for an individual that's watching this interview and they say, well, you know, we need to have someone come to our school and talk to us about it. What's the best way for them to reach out to you or to the Enid Police Department? Because they're thinking, well, we need to learn more about this. Okay. How would they do that? They
can call our non-emergency number. It's 580-242-7000, and they can just ask for me. Okay. Is there anything that, in just our few minutes together, that we've overlooked, or there's a key component when we discuss active shooter that we haven't discussed? Is there a thought or recommendation that you have based on your experience that we need to make sure the viewers hear? Well, I think the biggest thing is just being aware of your surroundings. Paying attention to what's going on around you is probably one of the best things you can do. And with you saying that, it triggered a thought that I had that my wife would tell me, I would say something about a certain environment that I'm in, and my wife would say, oh, you're just paranoid, or something like that. I hope she doesn't see this interview. But it triggers that, and I think it is important that you need to be aware of your surroundings and so forth. So, Captain, thank you for what you do with the Enid Police Department. Thank you for having me. And this is a very important topic of active shooter, and anytime there's any changes or any new common sense or protocol steps, please let me know and we'll share that with our public. Will do. Okay, thanks again. And thank you for joining us again here on City Connections. And we certainly appreciate your time that you allow for us to watch the opportunity as we focus on Enid and topics that are important to us. Again, our very special guest, Captain Gary Fuxa of the Enid Police Department, serving for 25 years, and we appreciate his service to our community. And we thank you for being a part of our community as well. This is Steve Kine with the City of Enid. Thank you for watching City Connections. Until next time, make it a great day. Thanks, everyone.